Hanju was puzzled about what kind of organization the demon cult was. This is the system's notification sound. 6 Paths of Soul Absorption. Duan Tongtian suddenly let out a piercing scream. Zhao Zilong of Changshan encountered the demon cult. He won't let you go. Then his primordial spirit was refined by Hanju. His body couldn't move at all. And that divine pain was Hanju's heaven-punishing ghost sword. As the sword energy swept by, Duan Tongtian dissipated into the heavens and earth as if evaporated by intense heat. Immediately, he unleashed the 6 paths of reincarnation's divine powers. Duan Tongtian laughed wildly. You can save your last words to say them yourself. But suddenly, he couldn't smile anymore. As Hanju's divine power was unleashed, he realized he was locked onto by something. Are you done rambling? Do you have any last words? While speaking, Hanju raised the Qilin sword in his hand, preparing to use his magic, enveloping the entire Yuling sect. In an instant, all the disciples of the Yuling sect who were fighting looked towards their ancestor in horror. I will make sure everyone in the Yuling sect dies before your eyes. Let's see how you plan to protect Yuqing sect. Hanju has already drawn the Qilin sword. Unless your spiritual power exceeds mine, it's impossible for you to encounter me. I have already given you a chance. Blame yourself for being so self-important. As he spoke, Duan Tongshan suddenly erupted with the terrifying pressure of the transformation stage. The 3 Purities shadowless sword was so easily blocked. He couldn't help but wonder what was behind him. Behind me is the innate dark female. This treasure can absorb spiritual power and is immune to most attacks. I can guarantee you that. Before he could finish speaking, 3 sword shadows had already arrived in front of Duan Tongtian. In the next second, a red shield appeared in front of him, blocking those 3 sword shadows. Hanju's own sword. Duan Tongtian, however, wore a delicate smile at this moment. At such a young age, he has already shown promise. Elder Jiao, why not come to my demon sect? The wealth and beauty of my disciples. The 3 purity technique was introduced. In just an instant, the arrogant elder of the Qingling demon sect had his head blown off by Hanju. Everyone was shocked by this strike. The West Xian fairy also sensed Hanju Yuan's handsome aura. With Elder Kunmo's strength, he unleashed his most powerful weapon, and charged toward Hanju. But Hanju slowly raised his left hand. He extended just one finger. Even a dog cultivator has passion. At that moment, suddenly they heard a shout from Cao Cao. Zhang Kunmo abruptly appeared behind Hanju. Duan Tongtian laughed. Heh. I don't even need to make a move. However, Hanju was not influenced by this choice. The reason he came here was that he had made a decision in his heart. Just watching him step by step approach Duan Tongtian, his blood was already boiling. Suddenly, the little brat was enraged and ashamed. You have guts. If you kneel and kowtow 3 times, I will spare your life. I'll give you a chance to join the Qingling demon sect. At this moment, the system also presented 2 options. Go now. Be good. Run as far as you can. From this moment on, you are no longer a disciple of Yuqing sect. Duan Tongtian felt like he was being ignored. It was the first time he'd seen her in such a sorry state. He asked, concerned, Master, are you okay? Fairy Shishuan also widened her eyes when she saw Hanju, but the next second, she punched Hanju in the face. What are you doing here? Shuba raised his hand, and launched a fatal strike at Fairy Shishuan. At this critical moment, Hanju appeared just in time, and rescued Fairy Shishuan. Among them, Li Qingzi and the Supreme Elder were in the most pitiful condition. Duan Tongtian looked down loftily at the people below. In the next second, he appeared right in front of Shishuan Fairy. Are you still unwilling to give up, Shishuan Fairy? Take a guess. How many people from the Yuqing sect are still alive? He continued rushing toward the main peak. At this moment, the system prompted that Xing Hongshuan's favorability towards him had increased to 6 stars. Hanju couldn't help but smile wryly, thinking of this damned charm and strength. Meanwhile, atop the main peak, Li Qingzi, the Supreme Elder, and Shishuan Fairy, along with others, were all severely injured. Suddenly, Xing Hongxian exclaimed in surprise, My lord, that one-eyed dragon thinks I've given in. But little did he know, Hanju had already appeared behind him, his eyes red with fury. With just one move, he took care of it. After the second disciple of the demon suppression sect advised Xing Hongxian to find a place to hide, he continued flying toward the main peak. At that moment, in a certain grove, a one-eyed dragon was forcing Xing Hongxian to carve his own path. How could Xing Hongxian possibly? When that one-eyed dragon was about to strike, just as they were about to fight desperately, three fools suddenly flew in from a distance. In the next second, the demon cultivators were all sliced in half like watermelons. Chang Yu and the others were stunned. Han Ju didn't stay for a moment either. On the way, he quickly eliminated the three golden core cultivators attacking Mo Revenge. He could sense the powerful pressure coming from the main peak. He hoped he could make it in time. Just then, he sensed Chang Yuer's aura. At that moment, Chang Yuer and the others were surrounded by a group of demon cultivators. The cultists behind us had all turned to mush. Mo Zhu wondered if she had entered paradise. Han Ju quickly found Mo Revenge. He directly threw Mo Bamboo to him. Then he flew towards the main peak. I wonder if I'll meet him in the next life. But at that moment, a familiar voice rang in my ears. I suddenly opened my eyes and found that the man I was thinking of was holding me. At this point, his spiritual power was completely exhausted. He couldn't even manage to glide. He slowly closed his eyes. The last thing I thought of was that man. He would die for the Yuling sect. At this moment, on the edge of the cliff, Ma Zhu was forced into a corner by the demonic cult. To preserve his innocence, he resolutely leaped off the cliff. He felt even more self-blame. As a master, he couldn't protect you. He could only go ahead of you. The West Xian fairy slowly stood up. Even in death, the Yuqing sect was finally finished. Fairy Xishuan couldn't help but think of Han Ju. That kid is probably still in seclusion. Thinking of Chang Yuer and the other disciples, his heart was filled with sorrow. Even in death, I will never submit to the demonic path. With that, he mustered the last of his strength. He charged at Duan Tongtian. The next second, he was sent flying back like a cannonball. From a short distance away, Fairy Xishuan sighed, laughing wildly. If you kneel and beg for mercy, perhaps I can spare you some suffering. Li Qingzi said angrily. We disciples of the Yuqing sect, under the pressure from Duan Tongtian, Li Qingzi, and the Supreme Elder, were already like arrows at the end of their flight. But for the Yuqing sect, they must fight. Duan Tongtian looked down on them. Yet no one recognized Cao Cao. On the other side, only a minute had passed. Han Ju had already completed the trial successfully. He was confused. Duan Tongtian just sealed the title of Yuqing sect leader. At the Golden Core stage, he could already kill nascent souls. Now, facing off against someone in the Ascension realm, he should stand a chance. So he initiated the trial. At this moment, Yuqing sect Master Foam was calling out Cao Cao's name, while Demon Elder Zhang Kunmo was chanting incessantly, "Let him come out and face his death." The system sent another notification. Detected the strongest in Yuqing sect, Qingming demon cult leader. The opponent is at the first stage of the Ascension realm. Should the simulation trial be initiated immediately? Han Ju instinctively wanted to refuse. But then he calmed down. Due to the breakthrough, you are rewarded with the divine ability, Heaven's Punishment Ghost-Slaying Sword. However, what excited Han Ju the most was, his lifespan had extended to 998 years. Just then, Han Ju received another notification from the system. Your sect, the Yuqing sect, is under attack by the Qingming demon sect. But that's not all. Spiritual roots fused with the 6 types of spiritual power. They unified into a brand new and powerful spiritual power. From now on, the 6 paths spiritual power can be directly absorbed from between heaven and earth. No need to cultivate each spiritual root one by one. At this moment, the system also sent a notification. He is willing to live and die with his master. At the same time, he silently prays that Han Ju will not lose his temper. He doesn't know how much time has passed. Han Ju finally broke through to the Yuan Yin realm. He discovered that even the 6 paths reincarnation technique had undergone a transformation. They had just avoided her junior brother's cave. If she took him to the inner gate now, it would instead put him in danger. She then thought that as long as Han Ju stayed in the cave, he would always be safe. She immediately flew towards the main peak upon encountering him. Wouldn't it interrupt his tribulation? One must know that forcibly interrupting a tribulation is a major taboo. She decided to protect Han Ju once again. 10 days later, the demonic army finally arrived at Yuqing Palace. Chang Yuer discovered that they were attacking from another direction. He wanted to come and inform Han Ju and take him to the inner sect to hide for now. But from a distance, he saw Han Ju undergoing tribulation. He immediately assumed Han Ju was breaking through to the Golden Core stage. At that moment, he realized if the Qingming demonic sect attacked from this side. Han Ju finally cultivated all his spiritual roots to the 9th level of Golden Core. At perfection, he officially began to break through the origin. Just as Han Ju was beginning his tribulation, Chang Yuer came running over in a panic. It turns out the demonic cult's invasion is imminent. Meanwhile, on the other side, after Han Ju's repeated attempts, he can now break through Qingzi's skysteel golden body at the 5th level of origin energy, and he successfully killed her in an instant. Once again, he marveled at how great this trial system is. Another 10 years passed, but none responded. Fairy Xishuan was also at a loss. Finally, Li Qingzi said in a deep voice, "When the time comes, the Supreme Elder and I will face Duan Tongtian. My heavenly gang golden body is the strongest technique of the Yuqing sect. I hope I can face him in battle." The sect leader and all the elders had gathered here. Everyone had a serious expression on their faces. Duan Tong successfully passed the tribulation last month. He was consolidating his nascent soul cultivation earlier. At the same time, the sect leader had already asked various righteous sects for help. Can only repel, but not defeat. At this moment, the system prompted whether to lower the opponent's strength. Looking at this adjustment range, this simulated world is getting more interesting. At this moment, in the main hall of Yuqing sect's main peak, Han Ju is also surprised. The 9-dragon demon seal is clearly not simple. It actually forced the headmaster to this point. Now he's facing someone at the 8th level of martial arts. It's still a struggle. Han Ju once again threw out a 9 dragons little demon seal. Unexpectedly, it was shattered by a punch from Li Qingzi. Han Ju keeps switching between 6 different death abilities. Each 9-dragon demon seal crashes into Li Qingzi. Li Qingzi is sent flying by the 9-dragon demon seal. Li Qingzi was completely unharmed. Moreover, his entire body was covered in gold. This was the ultimate skill, Heavenly Gang Golden Body. Han Ju couldn't help but marvel at how impressive this skill was. As he saw Li Qingzi charging at him again, Li Qingzi suddenly appeared behind Han Ju like a ghost. Fortunately, Han Ju quickly used the 7-fold swap to evade. He unleashed all his strength. He struck out with the 3 clear absolute shadow sword at Li Qingzi. However, as the smoke dissipated, he then heard the system voice, "You can choose a character from your relationships as your opponent." Looking at the panel, he immediately chose the strongest master, Li Qingzi. The next second, a person identical to the master appeared before Han Ju. Han Ju hadn't reacted yet. "This is simply a miracle. I've never been able to gauge my own strength. Now I can finally give it a try." He immediately conducted a simulated trial. In the next second, he found himself in a space. You can set the cultivation level and strength tier of your opponent for simulated battles. You can also detect all living beings within 100 miles. Copy their strength to engage in battle. The outcome of the battle will not affect your physical or mental condition. Han Ju was overjoyed. All others have reached the 9th layer of Golden Core. On the day of his 100th birthday, the system activated a new feature. Congratulations on turning 100. The simulation trial function has been activated. He fell silent for a long time. Then he wrote 2 characters on the wall. Iron Watch. Ning Lai was the first good person. Another 10 years passed, and Han Ju was left with only the memories of Tumu and Lin Zhen. Chang Yuer said it was time to go back to cultivating. She aimed to accompany her junior brother a little further on the path of cultivation. Though Chang Yuer was joking, her words fell on Han Ju's ears as painfully true. "If one day you're no longer here, I really wouldn't know what to do." Chang Yuer smiled and said, "Stinky junior brother. I thought you didn't care about me at all." After chatting for a while, it was Old Tai who took him in. Over the years, Old Tai never harmed him. One could even say he raised him. He suddenly felt a bit melancholy. "Senior sister, you must seize the moment to cultivate." He didn't find out. Hearing this news, Han Ju's expression became complex, recalling the past. Since his parents left, when he learned that Tai Lao had passed away 2 years ago, Han Ju was taken aback. He mentioned that, before he died, he wanted to see you one last time. As for what it was about, Han Ju immediately expressed his gratitude to his senior sister. Chang Yuer smiled and said it was all a gift from their master. She was just running an errand. Han Ju couldn't help but marvel at how good his master had been to him. At this time, Chang Laier began to talk to Han Ju Xian about what had happened to Yu Feng over the years. After a long while, Chang Yuer finally explained that she came to deliver a rare treasure. It was planted by the pond. It can make the spiritual energy of the cave more abundant. It might even become the cave with the richest spiritual energy in the Yuqing sect. Han Ju had cultivated his thunder spirit root to the 9th level of the Golden Core stage. It seemed like he could already see the reason beckoning him. He was completely immersed in this joyful moment. Suddenly, Chang Yuer appeared beside Han Ju without a trace. Han Ju was startled by his senior sister's sudden and mysterious arrival. For this, I have been preparing for decades. I have unwavering confidence. Just wait another 30 years, everyone. Upon hearing this, everyone cheered excitedly. Another 10 years passed. After a long time, when everyone had quieted down, he slowly said, "This plan is about to take shape. If we succeed in attacking the Yuling sect, victory will be almost certain." He spoke, and all the elders looked at him in shock. "Do you have confidence, sect master?" Li Qingzi deliberately avoids returning to the Yuqing sect, distracting most of their attention. At this point, someone suggests attacking the Yuqing sect directly. Immediately, everyone echoes the proposal. Only Duan Tongtian remained silent. Han Ju was dumbfounded when he heard this. "That's not what I meant." At this moment, inside a dim hall at the Qingming cult headquarters, the cult leader, Duan Tongtian, is discussing plans to attack the Yuqing sect with 7 elders. They have been in conflict with Li Qingzi for decades. When Xing Hongxian heard this, he fell silent. "You're right, I can't hold you back. Governor, focus on your cultivation. I'll go get you the pills for your cultivation. You have to cultivate properly. Otherwise, after hundreds of years, I will have become an immortal. But you turned into a skeleton. Your deep affection is a punishment for me. I no longer have any use for it." Xing Hongshuan's smile froze. In an instant, her expression changed dramatically. "Could it be that you only heard Han Ju seriously say that I broke through? Don't let it slip out. Miss Xing, if you want to be my disciple." He took out dozens of bottles of Yuqing Dan and boldly said that he had saved these up for many years for Han Ju to enjoy. Han Ju turned his head away, telling Xing Hongxian to take them back for himself. Just like that, after 8 years, he suddenly heard a voice, "Husband." Xing Hongxian arrived at Han Ju's cave. When Han Ju saw Xing Hongxian, he was so scared that his whole body twisted. Soon, Xing Hongxian made his intentions clear. 5-star hatred, this is serious. But when he opened the relationship list and saw the opponent's cultivation level was only at the 8th layer of Yuan Yin, he breathed a slight sigh of relief. As long as they're not in the transformation stage, I can still hold on. "Chow Chow, I remember you. Wait for death." With that, he vanished. At this moment, the system prompts, "Zhang Kunmo has developed a grudge against you. Current grudge level, 5 stars. Han Ju was extremely flustered at this moment. From Chen Santian's body, a shadow emerges from the dark mist. "Very well, you killed the outsiders. You can have the guts to reveal your name. I am Chow Chow. And you are Zhang Kunmo of the Mind Demon sect. According to the usual pattern in novels, kill the young one, and the old one comes. Kill the old one, and an even older one comes." Sure enough, a dark mist slowly rose. "I gave you a chance, and you still couldn't make it. Behave, at least then you'd be worth something to the bad guys. There's no need for that now." Han Ju also started to get a headache. "We have to get back what we're owed this year." But suddenly, he widened his eyes sharply, only to see a hole the size of a head appear in Chen Santian's chest. It was Han Ju. He struck him down. Han Ju was left speechless. In this past year, he had never tormented him. Now, the hatred had actually grown to an unresolvable level. "It's quite a headache." At this moment, Chen Santian was thinking about escaping. The atmosphere instantly changed. Chen Santian explained he was just swatting a mosquito. Immediately, he said he would go clean up. Looking at the system prompt, Chen Santian's hatred for him increased to 4 stars. He simply decided to strike. Gathering spiritual energy in his hand, he launched a sneak attack on Han Ju. Han Ju sensed it and just glanced back. He hasn't left the door. Thinking to himself, isn't he practicing a bit too much? Considering that he is the core disciple and still hasn't returned. If this continues, it will delay the intelligence gathering. Seeing Han Ju so fearless while cultivating, he then ordered him to stay in the cave, planting spiritual herbs for himself. Cleaning up. A year has passed. Chen has seen Han Ju practicing for 3 days straight. In his heart, he was convinced it was a trap for him to kill him. Han Ju was speechless. Am I really that terrifying? This top disciple of the demon sect is really such a coward. Chen Santian immediately trembled in fear, and shouted that he knew he was wrong. Come on, why not give it a try? From now on, you're always thinking of ambushing me. Chen cried for 3 days out of fear. In that case, he will surely fight to escape. But I can only kill him, and lack the power to subdue him. Thinking of this, Han Ju suddenly had Chen Santian stab him with all his might. Is it because he is too weak? Or is the Sanqing Absolute Shadow Sword too strong? Then Han Ju walked into the cave, leaving behind a remark, follow me. Han Ju originally intended to hand him over to his master. Cold sweat poured down his body. Senior, I was just joking. Cursing inwardly, this is only the foundation of the 9th level. It's a trick that deceives the dead, and Han Ju is also speechless. The grand disciple of the demonic sect. Otherwise, I will kill you. Disciple Han Ju was instantly speechless. Hold on. I don't have any disciples. Chen Santian immediately dropped the sword in his hand. He suddenly knelt down on the ground. He could be used to exchange for a hostage. Unexpectedly, Chen San suddenly darted behind Han Ju, pressing a knife against his neck. He turned back and shouted into the cave, "Senior, let me go." And only at the 9th level of cultivation. Could it be that you're the disciple of a senior? At that moment, Han Ju was hesitating, wondering whether to kill him or capture him. If someday the leader is captured, what do you think would happen to you? Chen Santian's heart was immediately stirred with turmoil. How could the other party know his secrets? Chen Santian hurriedly turned to Han Ju, begging for mercy. But when he discovered that Han Ju was so young, could this person be the supreme elder of the Yuqing sect? Han Ju appeared behind Chen Santian at some point. Chen Santian was born with a demonic fetus, the top disciple of the clear bright demon sect. If I were to hand you over to the Yuqing sect, it's all a misunderstanding. Senior, I was just passing by here by chance. At this moment, Chen Santian was panicking inside. He had clearly investigated the Yuqing sect, but there was no such powerful sword elder. His whole body flew out several dozen meters like a sandbag. At the same time, 3 sword shadows hovered above his head. Chen Santian was so scared he almost lost his soul. He quickly shouted, "Senior, assistant, what do you want at the Yuqing sect?" When he confirmed that the visitor was only him, he said fiercely, "Very good." Chen Santian suddenly sensed a killing intent. He hadn't reacted yet. 3 strands of sword energy pierced through Chen Santian's body like lightning. Could it be a cave? But he didn't find any doors. Is the owner here a timid turtle? At this moment, Han Ju heard Chen Santian say that he was a timid turtle. This made him so angry that his veins bulged. Born with a demonic fate, he is now the core disciple of the Qingming demon sect. At this moment, outside Han Ju's cave, a man in black was staring at Han Ju's inscription. He was puzzled about how there could be such a large place in the wilderness. Once again, he felt fortunate he hadn't been with them at that time. At that moment, the system suddenly sent a notification. A fated person has been detected. Han Ju immediately checked their origins. This person is named Chen Santian. All you know is cultivation, get lost. And so, Han Ju spent another 5 years in the cave. Now he's already at the 3rd stage of the Golden Core realm. That day, while browsing through his social feed, he discovered Mo Fuzhou and Zhou Fan were also being attacked. What do you think? Han Ju nervously swallowed. He cautiously asked, "Are you trying to take advantage of my cave's aura?" Chang Yue trembled with anger all over. Cultivate, cultivate. If you force your way in, you'll fall into an illusion and won't be able to escape. The spiritual herbs planted inside the cave can enhance the surrounding aura. Han Ju excitedly thanked his master right away. As for thanking me, there's no need. I'll move in with you in a while. Sichuan Fairy took out a storage bag and gave it to Chang Yue. Do as I said to help your junior brother. When Han Ju returned to his cave, he found that Chang Yue was already there. It turned out Sichuan Fairy had asked her to help set up the entrance to Han Ju's cave. They arranged a formation to hide the cave entrance. Are you sure you're not flirting with your master? Sure enough. Hearing these heartfelt words from Han Ju, Sichuan Fairy couldn't help but smile. Her heart filled with relief. After Han Ju left, "But I haven't taught you much. Though you didn't teach me. Your kindness is profound." These are Han Ju's heartfelt words. But wow, everyone must face death eventually. Sometimes lighter than a feather. Sometimes heavier than Mount Tai. Even though I seek immortality. But I won't abandon the kindness given to me. I will share life and death with my master. He immediately chose the second option. At the same time, Sichuan Fairy's favorability towards Han Ju also increased to 3 stars. Han Ju suddenly had a thought, damn, if it goes up by 1 more star, wouldn't it mean becoming soulmates? Sichuan Fairy couldn't help but be surprised. Aren't you afraid of death? The system also provided options. He instinctively wanted to choose the first option. Then, with a complex mood, he asked, "What about you, master?" The Western immortal replied calmly, "I will share life and death with the Jade Clear sect." In that case, Immortal Sichuan continued, the Yuqing sect is about to face an unprecedented disaster. I'll give you a choice. You can leave the Yuqing sect right now. Hearing this, his heart surged with excitement. At the same time, Hanju hurriedly came to the main hall to greet Immortal Shishuan. Immortal Shishuan squinted her eyes and said, "You still know to return. I thought you had already betrayed your sect." Hanju was about to speak, intending to explain. However, along the way, the Yuqing sect was in chaos. There were countless injured. I discovered that Chang Yuer was also in the crowd. With a complicated expression, Chang Yuer said, "Are you really willing to come back?" The reason was that he was planning to relax a bit that day. He took a glance at his friend's circle, suddenly startled. I found that the headmaster Qingzi was constantly under attack from demonic cultivators. I immediately set off towards the Jade Ghost Peak Great Hall. 7 days later, Hanju successfully entered the Golden Core stage. The system rewarded Hanju with a top-grade magic sword. He also obtained the divine ability of 6 paths and 7 harmonies. However, what made Hanju the happiest was that his lifespan had increased. He then set a small goal for himself, to break through within 100 years. Or will you overturn the world and dominate for eternity? It all depends on a single thought. Who knew that? After hearing this, Hanju asked, "Is there more?" and then tore apart the inner demon. Next, just focus on facing the heavenly tribulation. All it sees is the heart demon continuously tempting Hanju. You are already strong enough. There's no need to hold back anymore. Show the world your power. Will you seek victory by relying on others? It's not because the heavenly tribulation is so terrifying, but because of the heart demon. The terror of the heart demon makes even immortals tremble in fear. But when the heart demon encounters Hanju, this old trickster, it regrets having chosen the wrong host. Hanju was speechless. Did he even need to choose? And so, 2 years passed. Hanju finally stood among the 6 systems, the perfect beginning to breaking through to the Golden Core. It is said that out of every 10 assisting cultivators, only 2 or 3 succeed in breaking through. Hearing this, Mo Fujo immediately stated that as long as he received the Transcendence Pill, he would prioritize giving it to him. Hanju immediately stopped in his tracks. Mo Fujo thought this had moved him. Little did he know, Hanju was just looking at the options the system provided him. Seeing these options, he immediately came to the cave entrance and asked why they had come. Mo Fujo said he was here to invite Hanju to take down Feng Du, who had personally come to the demon sect. As expected, Hanju refused, saying he was preparing to go into seclusion to break through. Zhou Fan couldn't help but wonder, is this really Hanju's cave dwelling? Mo Fujo pointed at the large characters outside the cave. This is clearly Hanju's cave, no doubt about it. When Hanju heard Mo Fujo's voice, it felt like the emperor's new clothes, completely invisible. But Hanju felt a sense of security like never before. Half a month passed like this. That day, Zhou Fan and Mo Fujo arrived outside Hanju's cave dwelling. This is perfect for my 6 spirit root cultivation. Soon, Hanju arrived at his own cave. Hanju couldn't wait to take out the golden toad mystical robe, and immediately put it on. After putting it on, only one white orb remains. The spiritual energy in this cave is very mixed, but the concentration of spiritual energy is comparable to that of a spirit pool. Hanju saw this, and secretly rejoiced. He raised his jade hand. Immediately, 3 orbs of light flew out. The 3 innate caves are each located at the edges of the mountains outside the Yuling 18 peaks. These orbs of light from the caves will guide you on your way. Currently, 2 have been selected. Hanju drooled with excitement. When the assessment ended, Elder Dao Lei led the top 3 to the main peak hall. At this moment, a real person unexpectedly appeared in front of several people. He said that this time, the 3 innate caves would be selected based on their rankings as rewards. At this moment, Hanju also received a system reward. Golden Toad Mystic God, a 17th grade spiritual treasure. It can automatically block enemy attacks. At most, it can withstand 1 strike from a nascent soul cultivator. The top 3 were finally decided. Just as the elder was about to announce the final rules, Hanju directly conceded. The elder gave Hanju a deep look, then announced that Hanju had taken 3rd place. I have to say, this incredible luck is no joke. At this moment, Hanju remembered that as long as he made it to the top 3, he could choose a congenital animal. I have already made it to the top 3. Doesn't that mean I can? After a fierce battle, they will face off in pairs. Those who draw a red will get a bye. They will directly advance to the top 3. Hanju casually drew a lot. He actually drew the bye. He flew through the air like a kite with a broken string. Everyone was stunned. Is it over already? The top 5 were quickly decided. Next, the 5 will draw lots. It was the absolute defense ability of his spiritual treasure. Han Ju wasted no words. Sword energy surged from his body, striking Zhou Fan like lightning. Then, under everyone's astonished gaze, Zhou Fan's proud defense was shattered by Han Ju in a single blow. Seeing Zhou Fan so confident, Han Ju also began to take it seriously. 3 swords of energy instantly appeared around him. Seeing this, Zhou Fan's eyes flashed with a red glow. Spiritual energy immediately enveloped Zhou Fan. A small black bell appeared in his palm. It looked eerie and mysterious. It was Zhou Fan's innate spiritual treasure. Brother Han, this time you must give it your all. At the same time, he was confident enough to let Han Ju strike first. Zhou Fan angrily asked Han Ju, "Aren't you the one who said you've never been close to a woman?" Han Ju replied helplessly, "It's out of my control. I'm just as desperate." At this moment, Zhou Fan raised his left hand. Tension filled the air between the 3 women. Seeing this, Han Ju quickly slipped away. This is divine retribution. Finally, the assessment officially began. The first match was Han Ju against Zhou Fan. Chang Yuer immediately looked at Mo Zhu warily. A strong smell of gunpowder instantly erupted between the 2 women. Unexpectedly, Xing Hongxian also came over and sweetly called out, "Husband." It was like a collision between planets. At that moment, Han Ju suddenly felt a gaze. He turned to look. It was Zhou Fan, staring at him intently. His eyes were filled with a fighting spirit. At this time, Mo Zhu also came to Han Ju's side to cheer for him. Han Ju thought to himself that it wouldn't be easy this time. Why not just be straightforward? Eliminate them directly. A pair of milky white students suddenly appeared. It's Chang Yuer who brought an entire cheerleading squad to support Han Ju. Until they left, Han Ju still couldn't calm down for a long time. This is truly ruthless. Soon, it was the day of the top 10 assessment in Inner Mongolia. Looking at the surging crowd, what is the root of man? The essence of manhood. Upon hearing this, Han Ju was speechless. Doesn't that mean the headmaster and the elder are? Fairy Xian coughed lightly. This must not be spread. That senior wants to teach it. I heard the Sichuan fairy say this. And her face instantly turned red. It's very powerful, known as the strongest technique in Yuqing. But before practicing it, one must sever the root of man. After the incident, Han Ju told the Sichuan fairy about it. The Sichuan fairy was immediately speechless. That old man is restless again. By the way, master, is the Tiangang golden body powerful? In the entire Yuqing sect, only I and the leader know them. After seeing the old man's secret manual, Han Ju rejected it without a second thought. I almost killed this old man just now. How could I possibly be so kind now? Then he chuckled. Kid, you have extraordinary potential. Do you want to inherit my legacy? Unparalleled techniques, profound celestial skills. It almost destroyed my entire soul. Are all the inner disciples this competitive now? Han Ju was about to report this to the master, but the old man hurriedly stopped him, scared. Han Ju even said he's the master of Sichuan fairy and the sect leader. Your actions are suspicious and unpredictable. What do you want? The powers I cultivate are just like this. Do you understand the out-of-body experience? However, the little old man was suddenly filled with fear. What the hell was that spell just now? Han Ju was stunned. The old man continued angrily, I was just passing by. You, on the other hand, are all about the big moves. Han Ju was quite speechless. Senior. It's the middle of the night. Wait, stop. Suddenly, a wail came from the shadow. I am the supreme elder of the Yuqing sect. How could someone like you be in the Yuqing sect? Such disrespect towards a senior. Without saying a word, Han Ju raised his hand and cast the 9 dragons exorcism seal. He watched as the black mist tried to escape. Han Ju used his 9 dragons demon slaying seal like it cost nothing. He chased after that shadow, relentlessly attacking. There was a hint of something off. The leaves didn't even stir. But he heard a gust of wind. Suddenly, wisps of black mist appeared out of nowhere. They flew towards Han Ju. After that, Han Ju used the same method. By the time almost no one was left in the arena, he defeated his opponent in one move. He successfully entered the top 10. At that moment, while Han Ju was training, he suddenly sensed something. He approached his opponent from behind. In the next second, the opponent was sent flying. The loud crash woke up those who had been calm. Only then did they realize the battle was over. The winner was Han Ju. Only Mo Fuzhou knew that this guy was faking it. At this moment, Hanju also noticed that there were only a few people left in the audience. The judges were also dozing off. He was secretly delighted that the opportunity had come. He saw Hanju gradually smile. Mo and his sister also came to observe Hanju's match. However, on the stage, Hanju was clumsily dodging his opponent's attacks. His opponent, a disciple of Tianju Peak who was cosplaying as Black Chess Ichigo, was getting more and more excited. At this moment, the audience felt that this match was really dull. One by one, they left to watch the battle from other places. Hanju immediately chose it with joy. At the same time, he secretly marveled at how well this system understood him. He was confident that if he continued like this, he could survive until he was invincible in the world. The match was about to begin. When Hanju arrived at the venue, he was stunned. He never expected so many people to be visiting. How the hell am I supposed to perform now? At that moment, the system presented Hanju with two choices. Seeing that the second option rewarded a spiritual treasure, Xing Hongxian and Master ENGSUB sit facing each other. You gave the Yuqing pill to that boy. Any regrets? No regrets. My apprentice is deeply in love. On the day of the competition, after speaking, he left. Hanju was holding the pill and stood there in a daze for a long time. The scene shifts. Inside a dimly lit great hall. Take it without worry. I can get these pills regularly. My talent is average. But if you need anything later, my husband, I'll do my best to help you. This is a Yuling pill. I don't really like using it. This is just right for you. No room for Hanju to refuse. Xing Hongxian stuffed the pill into his hand. If you refuse, I'm afraid you might kill me. It's fine. I took it seriously. Xing Hongxian smiled and watched him take out a bottle of pills. Hanju quickly took a step back. Miss, you can't just call out people's names like that. Xing Hongxian smiled slightly. Did we not agree on this back in the outer sect? Hanju silently expressed that it was just a pretense. He didn't want to draw too much attention. Hanju quickly discovered his name. Tomorrow he will go to Tianju Peak for a duel. Just as Chang Yuer was cheering for Hanju, a sudden voice called out, "Husband," and Xing Hongxian appeared behind Hanju. Until the final winner, Shi Chang, is determined. Then the duels will continue in the inner gate city, and the entire sect will watch. Hanju was relieved to hear that not many people would come to watch the duels before Shi Chang. He finally let out a sigh of relief. But soon he began to worry that these two moves were too deadly. At this moment, Chang Yuer arrived at Hanju's cave entrance. She directly took him to the place where the rankings were posted. Tomorrow's assessment will be arranged in a sealed area. With a one-on-one duel, Hanju returned to his cave. He began to accept the inheritance of the 9 Dragons Exorcism seal. This third spell is similar to palm techniques. Using different attributes of spiritual power can produce different effects. This undoubtedly added another trump card for Hanju. Long live the master, long live. Long live. Fairy Shishuan smiled slightly upon hearing this, handed the token to Hanju, then allowed Hanju to leave, leaving behind a beautiful, enchanting figure. At this moment, the system prompt came again. Because Hanju became a personal disciple. Reward, Spellbook of 9 Dragons Demon Slaying Sound. Hanju was overjoyed. Thank you, Master. Shishuan Fairy kept Hanju behind. It turns out she learned about Hanju's background as an outer sect disciple. She no longer harbored any suspicions about Hanju. At the same time, she appointed Hanju as her personal disciple. Hanju was suddenly taken aback. Everyone instantly looked at him in surprise. Hanju hurriedly said it didn't count. But Shishuan Fairy didn't even look at him, and continued choosing other contestants. After the personnel selection is complete, suddenly, everyone rushed to sign up. Seeing almost everyone signing up, Hanju thought he should at least participate as a gesture. Then Shishuan Fairy immediately picked him first. Helplessly, I could only wish him a future free of suffering in my heart. Bringing everyone to the land. Fairy Shishuan announced that the Inner Mongolia assessment begins. Each faction must send at least 10 people. Who is willing to participate this time? Only then did Hanju breathe a sigh of relief. At that moment, he opened the relationship list of Xing Hongxian and saw so much affection towards him. Thinking about how I had once tricked him, I couldn't help but feel an inexplicable sense of guilt. Although the past is unbearable, I can only reluctantly admit it. But who would have thought that the senior brother would joyfully embrace Hanju? Don't worry, senior brother understands. I just didn't expect your talent to be so outstanding. Now he is cultivating with the sect master's junior sister, Ji-Su. He is also investigating a servant of a Dan practitioner named Hanju. Coincidentally, we at Yu Feng also have a disciple named Hanju. Junior brother, don't you think that's a coincidence? Hanju felt awkward and didn't know how to respond. Threatened to act as a spy for the Yuqing sect. All along, he has harbored hatred toward the demonic cult. Before, I tried to find an antidote outside the sect. Later, this Hong Xian was saved by the sect master. The sect master made an exception and allowed him to become an inner disciple. It was precisely this information that allowed the leader to pretend to leave the Yuqing sect. He ambushed in the realm of 10,000 demons. And this demonic cult traitor is Xing Hongxian. When he was young, he was forced to take poison. On the way to the main hall, he met the senior brother. Little did he know that the senior brother suddenly asked if Han Ju knew Xing Hongxian. Han Ju was taken aback. He then heard the senior brother continue to say that over the years, he had been lurking in the Wanyao realm and battling openly and secretly with the demon cult. There has always been a traitor from the demonic cult providing information. Thinking to himself, what an idiot. The most important thing is still looks. How can your appearance compare to mine? When Han Ju returned to Yuyo Peak, he heard the anxious bell of his disciples again. The world will naturally turn to you. Whatever you desire, you can naturally obtain. Zhou Fan felt a slight stir in his heart as he looked at Han Ju, who seemed like a divine being. Then Han Ju turned to leave. I'd like to ask, how do I pursue the one I love? Han Ju was completely puzzled for a moment. Then Han Ju honestly said, when have you ever seen me close to any woman? What is a woman worth? If you attain the great way. Because Mo Fuzhou always mentioned Han Ju to him. He recognized him at a glance. Just when Han Ju thought he was about to challenge him. Who would have expected Zhou Fan to suddenly kneel on the ground? I heard you're very popular with women. At level 9, as soon as he left the spirit pool, he saw Zhou Fan. He was originally confessing to a girl. As expected, he was friend-zoned. Han Ju was about to leave, but Zhou Fan called out to him. So I dropped the idea of helping him. Focusing on my own cultivation to get stronger is the true path. 8 years have passed in the blink of an eye. Except for his water and earth roots at level 8. Everything else has reached the foundation establishment stage. He really is a fierce person. In a novel, he'd definitely be the protagonist. I was considering whether to help him. If I help him, I might rise to success. But then I remembered how many side characters get screwed over by protagonists during their growth. Since the treasure was damaged, it needs to absorb spiritual energy to repair itself. This is why Zhou Fan's cultivation speed is extremely slow. But the treasure will soon be fully restored. Han Ju was suddenly dumbfounded. Great accomplishment realm. Han Ju was immediately startled. The one who was bullied is the one born with the innate artifact. His name is Zhou Fan. He is the reincarnation of a Mahayana cultivator. In the depths of his soul lies a spiritual treasure. Han Ju was eating snacks. He thought it was best to focus on his cultivation. But at that moment, a prompt from the system suddenly rang out. Detected a congenital abandoner. Would you like to check its origin? He immediately headed to the spirit sealing pool, aiming to cultivate all 6 spiritual roots to the foundation establishment stage before the assessment. At this moment, he was attracted by a commotion. Not far away, a crowd surrounded a person. It turned out they were about to bully him. At this level, it's basically core disciples or elders and the like. Upon hearing that no one above the golden core stage was participating, Han Ju immediately changed his attitude. I'll gladly accept this innate cave. There are still 8 years until the Inner Mongolia assessment. Han Ju planned to use the time to train well. Han Ju immediately wanted to back out, seeing how cowardly he was. Fairy Shishuan was so angry she wanted to hit him. At that moment, Han Ju asked, will there be any golden core or higher level cultivators in the competition? Fairy Shishuan replied angrily, do you think golden cores grow on trees? Asked excitedly, where is it? It's right near Yuqingzhong. But you have to place in the top 3 in the inner gate competition to qualify. As soon as he heard about the competition, I can't help you with the techniques. How about this? Do you want your own innate spiritual axe? It contains not only thunder spiritual chi, but also other types of spiritual energy. Han Ju, hearing this, she pressed her temple and said, I have arranged an opportunity for you. You will achieve merit in the monster realm. Becoming a core disciple is just around the corner. It's a pity you gave it up. Even the grade of the technique you practice is beyond my understanding. But disciple wants to first enhance their cultivation. Only seek opportunities after having sufficient strength. In reality, I think I possess unparalleled talent and luck. Why do I need a hammer for opportunities? Clearly, the Western immortal lady is quite upset with this guy. Upon hearing this answer, Ji Xuan was at a loss for words. Then she said, you have been in closed-door cultivation for so long. Without opportunities, it's impossible to attain immortality. Disciple understands. Leaving Han Ju alone. At this moment, Hanju was panicking like crazy inside. Could it be that she's going to settle the score with me alone? At this time, Shishuan asked Hanju what he was cultivating for. It is for immortality. It's better to stay secluded and autopilot. Then the three of them went to pay their respects. Fairy Shishuan told him about the matters in the myriad demon realm. After hearing this, Fairy Shishuan didn't say much. She let Chang Yuer and the other person leave first. Chang Yuer could see Hanju's intentions. She reminded him that in the 10,000 demon realm, hunting demon beasts is not allowed. This time was also a special circumstance. While speaking, she also beat up Meng He. Hearing this, Hanju could only give up, furiously giving him a good beating. After they all came out, Hanju immediately took the corpse of the demon beast to exchange for spirit stones. Looking at the large bag of temporary spirit stones he received, Hanju was eager to take them back and farm for more. Gradually, he was at a loss for words again. When the two of them reached the teleportation array of the demon realm, Meng He saw them both safe and sound, and was about to excitedly rush towards them. But Chang Yuer kicked him away with one swift motion. She wouldn't have believed it even if you beat her to death. At that moment, Hanju's gaze flashed in her mind. Lu Yu's face turned bright red, and her heart began to race. But at this moment, he saw Hanju packing up the beast's corpse. In Han Yuer's disbelieving gaze, those 7 golden core level demons were instantly obliterated. No one knew how much time had passed. Chang Yuer was still in a state of shock. If she hadn't seen it with her own eyes, she thought she was doomed. But Hanju's lips curled into a slight smile. Suddenly, 3 different colored sword auras appeared around him. It was the legendary sword technique, Danqing Ju, which Hanju obtained after rejecting Li Qingzi. Hanju softly uttered the word / Chang Yuer suddenly warned Hanju in fear. There were 7 golden core demons circling above them, radiating an overwhelming sense of oppression. They watched as the great demon charged straight at them. Chang Yuer closed her eyes in despair. Fortunately, Hanju reacted in time and grabbed Han Yuer to dodge. It was the same golden core demon that had just attacked Meng He. At this moment, Meng He slipped away by himself. Hanju couldn't help but curse in his mind. They continued to rush forward. It was clear that the demon cult was up to something. Suddenly, Hanju sensed a strong presence of demonic energy. He saw a huge mouth filled with sharp teeth coming towards the 3 of them. It lunged at them. "I'll sing praises of your bravery to the master." At this point, Meng He also stopped insisting. As soon as they stepped out of the house, the attic was overwhelmed by the beast army. Seeing that the beasts showed no signs of stopping, at that moment, they were horrified to discover a group of demonic beasts charging toward them. Hanju was ready to flee on the spot, but Chang Yuer said they couldn't abandon their posts. Hanju had no sense of honor whatsoever. Then stay and wait to die. It turned out he had seen a group of demon beasts trapped by a formation near the cliff, 10 miles away. Just as he was about to return, he encountered a golden core great demon. Hanju hurriedly took out a pill to heal Meng He. At the same time, he thought to himself that one must not forget when outside. The fate of our senior brother is proof enough. The master reminded us to be careful. Hearing this, Hanju immediately suggested leaving the Wanyao realm. Chang Yuer was about to refuse when she saw Meng He rushing back, covered in injuries. Along with her came senior brother Yu Yufeng and Meng He. It turns out that the Western Xian Ferry sent the two to help Hanju. Then Meng He went off alone to scout the surroundings. At this time, Chang Yuer told Hanju that the Buddhist disciples might have infiltrated the 10,000 demon realm. Helpless, he could only sigh. "In the end, I had to bear everything on my own. See, I was right, wasn't I?" The demon king said that the demon beasts would revolt after several days. Chang Yuer suddenly arrived in the 10,000 demon realm. He gave Hanju 2 options. When he saw that subduing the white dragon of the tiger star would earn the enmity of the demon king and the attention of the Qingming demonic sect, Hanju simply said, "Sorry to bother you," then turned and left immediately. Li Qingzi was so angry he stomped his foot. Li Qingzi suggested that he be the bait. Hanju immediately turned to leave. Li Qingzi quickly called out to him, stating that as long as he subdued the Tiger King, she would teach him the supreme technique, Yuqing Absolute. At this moment, the system also popped up. To be even faster than the Demon King, Hanju casually replied that he picked it up by the roadside. This made Li Qingzi so angry that her teeth itched. She decided to completely resolve the beast riot from the source. Upon learning that Hanju's movement was exceptional, Hanju told him what had happened. Upon hearing the story, Li Qingzi believed that the Tiger King must have been set up, leaving him with almost no strength. Otherwise, Han, you would be a corpse by now. At the same time, he asked what movement technique Han Ju had used. What exactly have you done? However, at this moment, Han Ju is too angry to listen. His mind is filled with images of Li Qingzi and his master together. He is filled with rage. That fat man doesn't deserve her. Then, under Li Qingzi's questioning, Li Qingzi then explained to Han Ju, the beasts here are showing signs of rebellion, and they are all subordinates of the Demon King, Hu Xing Bai Long. You must know that Hu Xing Bai Long has a vengeful nature. This large-scale gathering is quite unusual. For your master's sake, I can help you solve it. At this moment, Han Ju was shocked to see the list of relationships pop up from the system. It turned out that this person was Li Qingzi, the head of the Yuqing sect. At the same time, he admired his master. Upon hearing this, the fat man moved closer. Did your master give you any specific task? Even if I were here, how could I tell you which one? The fat guy said you've already gotten into big trouble. Seeing Han Ju looking so tense, the fat man told him not to worry. He then asked who sent him in. My master, Fairy Xishuan sent me. Since he could come here unaffected by the restrictions, his strength must be astonishing. The fat guy then said he was also a disciple of the Yuqing sect, sent to guard the 10,000 demons realm. He immediately saw through Han Ju's true power, revealing he was at Foundation Establishment Stage 9. Han Ju broke out in a cold sweat upon hearing this. Han Ju chuckled and said, what else could it be? But the next second, he suddenly reacted. He turned around in shock, only to see standing behind him a fat guy with a ruddy nose, and the soundproofing effect is top-notch. It's perfect for both cultivating and resting. Just as he was feeling proud, a sudden voice came from behind. Young friend, are you treating the demon realm as a place for disciples to cultivate? They were determined to investigate this matter thoroughly. 2 years later, Han Ju was sitting inside a restricted formation set up in the 10,000 demon realm to cultivate. He discovered that this formation was a treasure. The formation doesn't even allow golden core mirrors to enter. They quickly convened a meeting. They all speculated that there must be a traitor among the high-ranking members of the sect. The Xishuan fairy also held a skeptical attitude towards this. At this time, the sect leader had gone missing. They could only send more personnel. He ran away without hesitation. Han Ju did not pursue further. He noticed that recent beast riots seemed unusual. He immediately decided to report the situation. When the sect leaders learned of this, countless sword energies shoot toward the demon beast. Though only the true body can inflict damage, the beast is completely unable to tell them apart. He was hit. In an instant, Han Ju severely injured him. The peak of transformation can split into 7 afterimages. Watch as Han Ju splits into 7 afterimages and charges at the demon beast, surrounding the beast completely. At this moment, he gathers his spiritual energy and unleashes the absolute Toe Divine Sword. But the next second, Han Ju vanished into a wisp of smoke. The real Han Ju had already reached the rooftop. He had just activated his 7-fold Phantom Steps technique. Each layer of this technique creates an afterimage. Quite adorable. He then turned and walked away. Who would have thought the little cat suddenly transformed into a gigantic beast? It lunged fiercely at Han Ju. In an instant, its sharp claws tore Han Ju apart. To prevent any beast riots, in case any problems arise. When he stepped out of the house, he found a little kitten resting on a branch. It looked harmless and sweet. He sees that Mo Zhu is under attack by demon cultivators. He can't help but sigh that opportunities are indeed not a good thing. Then he stretches and goes out to patrol. These days, he has to go out and patrol every so often. And his target, with lightning speed, is such a cute little kitten. It has been a year and a half since Han Ju arrived in the 10,000 demon realm. Every day, he is either cultivating or cultivating. During his breaks, he mindlessly scrolls through the system's social circle. In the future, Han Ju will be Yufeng's personal disciple. Can you imagine this despicable man unleashing overwhelming arrogance in his first battle, merging his fingers to gather supreme sword light, slashing out thousands of sword chi from between his fingers? Building a good relationship with him will only benefit you. As long as it's not a deadly feud, it can be resolved. This works understanding of him. He won't scheme either. You can just slack off when the time comes. He immediately respectfully expressed that he would follow his master's arrangements. Then he went back to pack his things. Fairy Xishuan said to Old Iron on the side, I didn't want to hold your past against you too. From now on, you are brothers. There have even been cases of disciples being brutally killed. Han Ju, who was already afraid, broke out in a cold sweat upon hearing this. But judging from Fairy Xishuan's expression, he had no chance to refuse. Still, he thought it should be similar to being a zoo security guard. She said that's where the Yuqing sect raises its demon pets. I want to go with Han Ju. Unexpectedly, Fairy Sichuan directly rejected Chang Yue. That place is very dangerous. Monsters often go on a rampage there. Go guard the 10,000 demon realm of Yuking sect. Han Ju broke out in a cold sweat upon hearing this. The 10,000 demon realm sounds impressive, but it also feels very dangerous. Little did he know, Chang Yue got excited beside him. Tai Lao became very honest. He didn't dare to think too much. At this moment, Shi Xianzi also brought up serious matters with Han Ju. Since you like cultivating so much, I will assign you a task. He just started thinking about this. A pair of milky white snowflakes appeared behind Tai Lao. Chang Yue, with a fierce look, asked Tai Shidi. What kind of expression is that? I absolutely will not allow you to have any bad intentions toward Han Ju Shidi. Little did they know, their expressions were as colorful as could be. Meanwhile, Elder Tai was still puzzled, wondering why he hadn't noticed Han Ju's exceptional talent earlier. In just 20 short years, he had reached the 9th level. Had he discovered it earlier? They both shouted the other's name in surprise. Chang Yue looked curious. So you two know each other? At this moment, Immortal Sichuan said to Han Ju, this is the new disciple of Ryu Yufeng. You can just call him Junior Brother Tai. At this moment, Han Ju realized that his master had taken in a new disciple. He immediately turned to look. To his surprise, it was Tai Lao. Tai Lao also happened to look up at Han Ju. The two stared at each other. He is hiding his true level just to keep a low profile. This move immediately won him a lot of favor from the Sichuan fairy. Ding Ding completed the task. He gained the recognition of the Sichuan fairy through low-key cultivation. As a reward, he received the 7-level body transformation technique. He confessed his mistake to her. Fortunately, Fairy Sichuan didn't blame him. I noticed that Han Ju's cultivation level is still at Foundation Establishment level 3. I couldn't help but look confused. Han Ju stated that he is actually at Foundation Establishment level 9. Han Ju was instantly struck like lightning. Damn it, I've been training too much. I actually forgot such an important matter. Now my master is going to skin me alive. Han Ju immediately found Fairy Sichuan. Han Ju directly rejected him, saying he needed to go back to cultivate. Then he vanished from Mo Ju's sight. Mo Ju was so angry he stomped his feet. At that moment, Han Ju overheard a passerby mentioning the pancake incident. He mentioned that he had something to ask of Han Ju. Helping is a great opportunity. Hearing the word mechanic, Han Ju couldn't hold back. While Mo Ju was still trying to entice him, I heard there's a risk. Han Ju left without looking back, leaving the tree demon behind in helpless fury. Just as Han Ju was collecting his salary for the past few years, Mo Ju suddenly appeared and sought out Han Ju. Just as Han Ju was about to leave after reaching the great perfection, someone spoke up, saying there was an opportunity here. It could provide a lot of cultivation resources. Do you want to participate? Is it dangerous? Opportunities come with risks and defenses. At that moment, he immediately guessed that Han Ju must have a way to suppress his cultivation. His true cultivation level was definitely not below his own. Unknowingly, Han Ju had already been cultivating here for 8 years. He finally reached the 9th level of his Thunder Spirit Root cultivation. As soon as he finished speaking, the surrounding spiritual energy was completely absorbed by Han Ju. Mo Fuzhou was shocked at the sight. The speed at which he absorbed the spiritual energy was far faster than his own. After all, he himself was already at the 9th level of Foundation Establishment. Seeing Han Ju, Mo Ju immediately asked, why are you still at the 3rd layer of Foundation Establishment? My brother said you might have reached the 6th layer. Han Ju chuckled softly. He immediately sat cross-legged, ready to start cultivating. At the same time, he reminded them to stay far away if they wanted to cultivate together. What he was showing now was just the lightning spirit and the tyrant. The other weapons had already been cultivated to the 5th layer of Foundation Establishment. At this moment, Mo Fuzhou walked over. A girl followed him from behind. Mo Fuzhou introduced to Han Ju that this was his younger sister, Mo Ju. The tree monster approached Han Ju's group. It had felt you were a genius before. How come after all these years, you are still only at the 3rd level of Foundation building? Han Ju scratched his head, not thinking much of it. Han Yue was momentarily speechless at these words. The West Xian fairy was left speechless by Han Ju's nonsensical words. She was so shocked that she couldn't respond. And just like that, another 10 years passed. When Han Ju arrived at Leiling again, Han Ju said, no need, senior sister. I have enough cultivation resources. And besides, I'm afraid of dying. Chang Yue angrily said, how can I be afraid of dying as a cultivator? If you're not afraid of dying, then what's the point of cultivating immortality? And gave Hanju a meaningful smile before leaving. Then, Chang Yuer said she would take Hanju to complete a sect mission. Hanju helplessly asked if he could skip this sect mission. Completing sect missions can yield a lot of cultivation resources. Moreover, the contribution points you earn can be exchanged for elixirs. Hanju smiled and wished senior brother smooth sailing in advance. At this moment, Chang Yuer jumped out and said that she could take care of junior brother herself. Senior brother instantly understood what she meant. When he saw Hanju refuse, Ji Xian Fairy didn't say much. She just let her eldest disciple, Lu Sanqing, participate. Lu Sanqing accepted with tears in his eyes. Afterward, Lu Sanqing specifically came to Hanju to express his gratitude. Please give the opportunity to my senior brothers and sisters. Hanju knew very well in his heart. Master, are you doubting that you are a spy for the demon sect? No matter what, it's better to refuse. Isn't this tailor-made for me? But unexpectedly, Immortal Shishuan calmly said to let Hanju go. Both Lu Sanqing and Hanju were so shocked they broke out in a cold sweat. Hanju hurriedly declined, saying, Master, I appreciate your trust, but I only wish to focus on my cultivation at UU Peak. Recently, the sect has introduced an outstanding disciple training program. Jiang Gefeng's most outstanding disciples will be given focus training as the foundation for the next generation of the sect. As for the selection of candidates, Lu Sanqing proudly adjusted his glasses. Hanju was momentarily stunned. Let the 3 peaks give way. Isn't that just sending people to their deaths? At this moment, the senior disciple Lu Sanqing expressed that although our UU Peak has always been low-key, we still want to contribute to the sect. His stunning beauty caused quite a stir among the disciples. Seeing that almost everyone had arrived, Immortal Xian number 17 immediately spoke up, saying she was following the leader's order. In future battles between the 18 peaks, 3 peaks would send disciples to confront the Qingming demon sect. Hanju couldn't help but feel nervous. What kind of trouble had arisen? When the two arrived inside the hall, a large number of disciples had already gathered here. As soon as Hanju appeared, when Hanju walked out of the cave, he happened to run into Chang Yuer. Only then did he realize that this was the signal from the master to summon all disciples. The two immediately flew on their swords towards the main hall. Chang Yuer said it was the first time the bell had been rung in all these years. For the first time in her life, someone stood up for her. Xing Hongxian firmly believed that Hanju was destined to be her husband. Meanwhile, Hanju had returned to his cave residence. Just as he was about to start cultivating, he heard the sound of bells ringing in his ears. Just when he was confused about where to go next, the image of Hanju appeared in his mind. Back then, when Hanju was about to knock him out with a brick, he happened to block Iron Elder's attack. This made Xing Hongxian mistakenly think he was protecting her. The most outrageous thing is that her favorability towards him has actually risen to 4 hearts. This woman must be sick, right? Meanwhile, on the other side, Xing Hongxian was dodging a pursuit. At this moment, he let out a long sigh. He finally got rid of the demon cult. At this moment, a system notification suddenly popped up. Hanju glanced over. He was instantly shocked. The system had displayed several updates about Xing Hongxian. Hanju was instantly speechless. This woman is really pitiful. Hanju politely introduced himself. When he learned that Hanju was actually Yu Yofeng's disciple, he immediately tried to poach him. He wanted him to join Lei Feng for training. Hanju declined without hesitation. He was speechless again. How much does his master love secluded cultivation? It was the young man in purple who had been cultivating in the Thunder Spirit Pool that appeared before Hanju. Will you not seek revenge on Xia Tianlifeng? May I ask for your name? Stage 3. And even his lifespan extended to nearly 200 years. It's important to know, Hanju started cultivating because he feared death. While he was secretly rejoicing, the system once again popped up 2 options. Hanju looked at the first option. What's even more terrifying is, he actually absorbed the tribulation lightning and directly turned it into the power for his ascension. By the time Hanju had fully absorbed the heavenly tribulation's power, 2 years had passed. At this point, his cultivation level had reached foundation establishment. In their eyes, Hanju would surely die this time. At that moment, a loud boom was heard. Countless purple bolts transformed into a thunderstorm and fell. The target was none other than Hanju, looking as if it had seen a ghost. You must know, triggering a lightning tribulation in this thunder pool, the power of the thunderstorm will double. He urged the young man to get away quickly. To avoid affecting the fish pond, he immediately decided to strike directly. The young man in purple sensed something and looked up at the sky. In the sky, a massive gathering of purple lightning appeared. The immense pressure left him shocked. At this moment, the tree demon appeared behind the young man. However, a year later, he got a harsh reality check. Hanju Ejing really cultivated the thunder spirit energy from 0 to the 9th level within a year. At this point, the Baron also finally achieved mastery in 6 disciplines. Purple lightning coiled around his entire body. He excitedly shouted out, "I must reach the 9th level of cultivation within a year." The young man in purple, who was cultivating nearby, couldn't help but feel speechless when he heard this. Is this guy out of his mind? This is pure wishful thinking. You know, a tree demon is practically a treasure for cultivation. Though it looks a bit eerie, if you train nearby, your efficiency will surely double. I've really come to the right place. A tree trunk with a human face suddenly appeared. A miserable scream immediately echoed throughout the entire thunder spirit pool. Han Jun quickly snapped out of it. It's actually a tree demon. Once again, I'm amazed by how deep Yuqing Sect's foundation runs. At first, he thought the so-called Thunder Spirit Pool was just a small pond. Now it seems he was being narrow-minded. At this moment, he noticed that only one person was cultivating in the vast Thunder Spirit Pool. He sighed, realizing that Thunder Spirit roots must indeed be rare. While he was lost in thought, upon hearing this, Fairy Shishuan smiled slightly and mentioned that there was a teleportation array in the inner sect leading to the Thunder Spirit Pool. Before long, Hanju arrived at the Thunder Spirit Pool. Once again, he was awed by the grand scale of the Yuqing sect. The time lost in cultivation is also a significant loss. Hanju understood that Fairy Shishuan was thinking of his well-being, but he had other methods in mind. He immediately said he'd dedicate all his time to cultivation. He asked his master not to worry. Fairy Shishuan looked at Hanju in surprise and asked, "Are you planning to use 3 types of spiritual power to assist your attack?" Then she poured cold water on Hanju. Once the spiritual energy arrives, it's extremely rare to focus on a single intention. Not to mention the heavenly tribulation that follows will be stronger. Another 3 years unknowingly passed. Hanju not only learned swordsmanship, but also cultivated everything except the thunder spiritual root to chi refinement level 9. He immediately went to find his master. He asked where he could cultivate spiritual energy. The system suddenly popped up, and he gave Hanju 2 options. When Hanju saw the first option, he was instantly speechless. Why does his master feel a bit strange? He couldn't help but marvel at the luxury of the inner sect again. At this moment, he recalled his master's realm in the relationship list. The 3 layers are the strongest cultivation methods he has encountered so far. He needs to hold on tightly to such a big thigh. Just as he was about to begin his cultivation, why are all the female disciples like wolves and tigers? Soon, Chang Yuer had arranged Hanju's cave residence. She even specifically placed him next to her own cave. After the senior sister left, Hanju carefully examined his cave dwelling. The junior brother has an attitude and personality that really suits me. I can't let him get away. Hanju saw the lewd expression on his senior sister's face, and couldn't help but feel a surge of fear. This Yuyo Feng is not what it seems, but if she needs anything, she could ask him anytime. Hearing this, Chang Yuer was overjoyed. She had endured 5 years of the gloomy wind here. And finally, someone good-looking had arrived. Chang Yuer happily dragged Hanju away at once. On the way, Chang Yuer generously told Hanju to feel free to come to him with anything in the future. Hanju is definitely going to take this junior disciple. Chang Yuer's guilty, lingering gaze made Hanju unable to meet her eyes. He quickly said he wouldn't dare trouble senior sister. Long live master. Even Shishuan Fairy, known for her cool demeanor, was left speechless by the scene before her. She immediately told Chang Yuer to take Hanju for registration and to arrange a residence for him. Just as he was puzzled about what was happening, Chang Yuer quickly reminded him that this was an invitation to become her disciple. Only then did Hanju realize he was to approach the West Xian Fairy as her disciple. Hanju greets master. Celestial Fairy Shishuan immediately suggests that Hanju stay in Yu Feng. The Grand Elder, upon hearing this, gave Hanju a meaningful smile before leaving the place. At this moment, Hanju noticed that the West Xian Fairy was staring at him intently. Like lightning, it charges toward Celestial Fairy Shishuan. But just as it's about to hit her, the sword aura vanishes into thin air. Celestial Fairy Shishuan calmly says, "Is that all you can do?" Hanju admits it honestly. He could remain in seclusion for 100 years, never stepping outside. Upon hearing this, Chang Yuer's affection instantly dropped to 1 heart. This is the Celestial Fairy Shishuan asking Hanju to initiate the attack himself. Hanju then gathers all his strength to form a sword aura. A stunning girl walked over Han Ju immediately opened the system. He found that her name was Chang Yue. She actually had 2 hearts of affection for him. But Han Ju quickly replied that as long as the immortal Xishuan hadn't ordered anything. The Grand Elder introduced Han Ju to Fairy Xishuan. Fairy Xishuan asked if Han Ju was willing to forsake worldly affairs and focus solely on cultivation. Han Ju was just about to answer when he heard a voice saying, Yu Yufeng finally has a proper junior disciple. Moreover, he doesn't allow his disciples to develop romantic feelings. So most of the people at Yu Peak are devoted ascetics. Hearing this, Han Ju's eyes lit up. This place is simply his paradise. Upon entering the main hall, the Grand Elder explained that the head elder of Yu Peak is immortal Xishuan. His cultivation is unfathomable, and he enjoys seclusion for training. So, it's usually quiet here, but didn't expect it to be so vast and wondrous. As the Great Elder flew, he introduced various places within the inner gate to Han Ju. When they arrived at Yu Peak, the entire peak feels desolate and cold. Then, with a sly smile, said, Yu Peak suits you well. You will definitely like it. When Han Ju entered the inner gate, he was astonished by the scene before him. He originally thought Yuqing's sect was just a small faction. Then, the Grand Elder took Han Ju and flew toward the inner sect. On the way, the Grand Elder asked Han Ju which cultivation environment he wanted to join. Han Ju thought for a moment. He wanted to choose one focused on low profile, diligent cultivation. The Grand Elder immediately gave Han Ju a meaningful look. This means there are 18 teaching elders. As long as someone takes a liking to you, you can directly become an inner sect disciple. Otherwise, you'll have to reach foundation establishment sooner, and participate in the sect's competition. Han Ju has actually been cultivating. At this moment, Han Ju opened his eyes. By now, he had already cultivated the fire spirit root to the 4th level of Qi refinement. Then he went to pay respects to the Grand Elder with Yang Luo. The Grand Elder directly told Han Ju that there are a total of 18 positions in the inner sect. Half a year later, the Grand Elder returned. Yang Luo promptly came to inform Han Ju. When he opened the door, Yang Luo was surprised to find that in the past 6 months, he had intended to keep a low profile, but he accidentally became the focus of attention. But he soon discovered the presence of fire spirit energy here. Without saying a word, he immediately began to cultivate. Thus, Han Ju easily entered the inner sect, and he received a luxurious starter gift pack. The 2 elders told him to rest well. When the Grand Elder returns, they will take him to the inner sect. Han Ju sighed softly. When Han Ju heard this, he immediately showed his thunder spirit root. Then Yang Luo took Han Ju to meet the elder. After that, Han Ju casually demonstrated. He discovered 3 types of spiritual roots within himself. Could this person have a lightning spiritual root? Talking about Inner Mongolia, it might be random, but the qualification to enter the inner gate is to reach the assistant realm. However, if you have a thunder spirit root, you might be able to make an exception and be brought directly into the inner gate, and sliced off the top of a mountain. This scene left the 3 of them utterly stunned. Without a word, Yang Luo took Han Ju to register. On the way, Han Ju asked if there was a place here to cultivate with lightning and fire spiritual energy. Yang Luo paused at the question. He wanted to join Yuqing's sect. The gatekeeper was about to report this, when he happened to encounter the outer sect steward, Yan Luo. He immediately asked Han Ju to demonstrate his spiritual power. Han Ju casually performed a move with the absolute Toe Divine Sword. The day had come for him to leave this place. Taking advantage of the dusk, he left the place he had lived for 20 years with his bag. He went straight to the entrance of Yuqing's sect, declaring his identity as a 9th level Qi practitioner seeking to become a loose cultivator. At that moment, the system's prompt sounded, indicating the task was completed. He obtained the sword technique, Absolute Divine Sword. And so, 2 years passed. Han Ju had cultivated all 4 elemental roots to the 9th layer of Qi refining, almost there. Once the fire elemental root reaches the 9th layer, he can break through to the foundation establishment stage. Then Master Tai told Han Ju to explain everything clearly. After Han Ju recounted everything to him in detail, Tai Lao no longer made things difficult for him. Han Ju saw that he had managed to get through. He hurriedly slipped away. Seeing Master Tai, he immediately said, "My lord, you're finally here. I nearly lost my life trying to hold off this witch. Weren't you 2 accomplices?" He had been hiding in the shadows all along, just waiting for Xing Hongxian to show up. Seeing he was no match for Iron Elder, Xing Hongxian ran away without hesitation. At this moment, Han Ju, who had fallen to the ground, got up. When suddenly an attack landed on the two of them, Hanju was blown away. Anpu was also sent flying. The person who caught the artist was none other than Iron Elder. It turns out Iron Elder had long suspected something was off. Seeing Xing Hongshuan's excited expression, Hanju thought to himself that he must not let her get Danpu. Otherwise, his secret manual would be gone. So he directly picked up a brick, and was about to ask her a question with it. This thing was hidden way too carelessly. Seeing Xing Hongxian rushing over, Hanju thought, is he coming to silence us? Xing Hongxian excitedly hugged Hanju. She mistakenly thought Hanju was being romantic with her. Hanju was so startled that he crashed into the cabinet behind him. As a result, a vase fell off the cabinet. In the surprised gazes of both people, that Danpu suddenly appeared right in front of them. Hanju froze on the spot. Just as he was inwardly cursing Tai Lao and that witch, Xing Hongxian suddenly appeared behind Hanju, nearly scaring the life out of him. Seeing that Hanju wasn't even looking for the alchemy manual, Xing Hongxian raised his hand, ready to kill him. Hanju should act quickly. Soon, Hanju arrived at the attic. He found that, as expected, everyone had been lured away. Hanju quietly sneaked into the study. He pretended to search casually, but was actually scheming. That night, while Hanju was meditating inside the house, Xing Hongxian suddenly appeared outside the window. She told him that she had found out the pill formula. It was in the study. She said she would distract the others later. The first thing he did was to have the system help extract the pill. While Hanju was debating whether to serve Xing Hongxian, the system presented him with a choice again. Looking at the two options from the system, Hanju chose the second option without hesitation, which he claimed could help him unlock his spiritual root. Waiting for Hanju's reaction, a pill was shoved into his mouth and forced down his throat. When Hanju returned to the room, and your fellow disciple is watching over in the attic. Little did he know, he was pinned down by Xing Hongxian. He told him that the thing was in the attic. As for the other person, he would take responsibility to lead them away. He then saw him take out a large, round black pill. Although both he and her were at the 7th level of refining love, he had never learned any spells. He immediately decided he couldn't confront her head-on. At this thought, Hanju immediately stated that he did not know where Danpu was. Hanju instantly fell into despair. He had offended the Yuqing sect. Wouldn't they chase him to the ends of the earth? But if he refused, this witch would definitely kill him to silence him and join the demon cult. He even considered offering to become Hanju's companion as an incentive. Hanju was instantly petrified on the spot. What? This woman is actually a demonic cultivator. Then should I be compliant or just comply? Just when Hanju was feeling a bit excited, Xing Hongxian stopped and turned to Hanju. He directly told Hanju that he hoped Hanju could help him get Tai Lao's alchemy recipe. In return, he would take him away from Yuqing sect. Immediately, he summoned the system. He opened the relationship list. He discovered that Xing Hongxian actually had a two-hearted affinity for him. Hanju instantly thought, could it be that he wants to date me? Xing Hongxian sought out Hanju and directly asked him to follow to the small forest. Hanju was puzzled. He didn't know Xing Hongxian. Why did I suddenly go to the small grove? Hanju directly chose low-key cultivation. 2 years passed just like that. By then, Hanju had reached the 8th level in his training of feng shui, earth, wood, and metal. Just as he was planning to return home to continue his cultivation, Xing Hongchuan from the outer sect came looking for him. 1. A high-profile, extraordinary talent can obtain a refining qi cleansing artifact. 2. Low-key cultivation can unlock the function of hidden cultivation roots. Remember to take care of important matters. Iron Old absolutely does not allow others to cultivate in order to survive and develop. However, this medicinal garden only had earth, wood, and water, but no fire or thunder spiritual energy. At this moment, the system also sent a notification. You start your first cultivation. Your cultivation development has the following choices. It even enhances a certain aura. With such top-tier aura and top-tier spiritual root qualifications, he directly began his cultivation journey. As soon as he entered meditation, he could sense various spiritual energies in the air. And just like that, another 3 years passed. One day, Hanju was so excited, he rolled on the ground because he finally drew the most supreme spiritual root in the world. A 6-element root. Fire, wind, water, earth, wood, and lightning, all top-tier elements. In this life, he must live out his own uniqueness. But 2 years had passed. The best spiritual root Hanju got was only a 3-element root. But Hanju's ambition is immortality. To become a saint, to become a god. With such charm, he only needed to focus on shaking the bell from now on. He was not in a hurry. 30 years east of the river, 30 years west of the river. He was completely stunned. He actually shook out 4 super-grade innate contracts. Charm at the top level. He saw top-level comprehension, top-level agility, and the aura of innate descendants. Han was instantly overjoyed. Infuriated, he spat out 10 mouthfuls of tomato juice. He was in immense pain, but could only accept reality. Then he planned to shake the innate contract again. At that moment, a golden light flashed. Or 1,000-year waste. That day, as usual, he finished his warm-up exercises, and planned to shake for his spiritual root talent. Who would have thought he would still get 1,000-year trash? He was originally a young boy under the Yuching sect, planting medicinal herbs. After he crossed over to this world, he unexpectedly awakened the shake system. Every day, one can shake for fortune and spiritual root talent. But in 10 years, what one gets is either the destined lone star. The man has been planting flowers and grass in the sect for 20 years, with no one paying attention to him. Yet, at the most critical moment for the sect, he merely used one sword to defeat an unparalleled expert that even the Grand Elder could not conquer. His name is Han Ju.